Good evening, congregation family. It is Thursday night. It is a little after 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And my name is Joseph Mendoza. I am the online engagement director for the Congregation Family. I am also the lead of the Family Strong Ministry. And next to me, to my right, probably your left, is my amazing better half, Felicia, my wife. And we have our co-host, amazing co-host, Brandon and Abby Dalton. And we have our special guest tonight. And for those of you who are a part of the Congregation Family, you're probably saying, special guest, we get to see him every Wednesday, we get to see him Sunday, we get to see him during the week. We have Pastor Stefan, who has blessed us tonight to come on live for our Family Strong Roundtable conversation. And we have a great night planned for you guys tonight. So wherever you are watching live right now, I'm monitoring Facebook because we are live on Facebook. Tell us where you are tuning in live from this evening. And if you guys have any questions, okay, or you want to engage or interact, drop a comment. I'll do my best to read the comments, read any questions. If you have a question for Abby, for children's ministry, Brandon, Sound Mind, Pastor Stefan, anything church related, me, anything, whatever you feel led to ask, my wife, everything. She always answers the best questions and asks the best questions. So anywho, Brandon, Abby, how you guys doing this Thursday evening?
Excellent.
Excelente. I just want to say you guys look amazing. And Pastor Stefan, you are glowing.
Right. Man, I already gave him a hard time when he first signed on. I'm like, dude, overdressed for the occasion. He's like,
oh, that lotion, Joseph, you me buy at the mall. Where do you go that's like your spot?
So Pastor Stefan and I were having a conversation the other morning. Yeah. Well, Brandon knows this. Once you our wives don't know this yet, Brandon, but once you hit that 40 club, you got to start to take care of the face a little better with what you use, the anti-bag cream at night, the night version, then you use the morning version. So Stefan and I were going over our regiments the other day on what I do and what he does. The difference is he's in his 30s still. So
yeah, 31, man.
You're way ahead of the game. So, but for Brandon and I, here's what I'll say. We're blessed that we have young, beautiful wives that preserve us and help keeping us look as good as we do. So that's what I'll say. So I owe it all to her. All that I've been through in my life, man, I should have more gray than I do now. But I guess the gray's the new look, or whatever you want to call it, is the new look. But anyway, Pastor Stefan, thank you for taking time tonight, Thursday night, to jump on with us.
Yeah, of course.
Have been very impactful for many reasons. We're always bringing on a different guest, whether it's a specialist in an industry, whether it be a therapist, a teacher, someone who has studied and researched homeschool. We've had people from in the States, out of the States jump on, and then Brandon, Abby, myself, and Felicia. We'll talk about pressing topics from time to time, but I thought that having you on tonight would be God's timing, okay, about talking about this word that we've all heard over the past 2 weeks now, okay? Because we just finished our second part of our new series that is called Shift, and that would be S-H-I-F-T, so shift. And I keep saying, if you follow the Family Strong Ministry, you're going to hear this word a lot. If you watch Sunday sermons or Sunday messages at 10 a.m., you're going to hear it a lot. If you hear and watch Pastor Stefan like last night, you're going to hear it a lot. And not only is, God calling the congregation family to shift into this new season. And I wanted to start off by just reading. I pulled this from Pastor Stefan and Pastor Tim's Bag of Tricks every time they speak. I'm going to start out with the definition of shift. I know we've probably heard it the past couple of weeks, but I think it's a great way to start as a reminder. So the shift it's a slight change in position, direction, or tendency, move or cause to move from one place to another. Now, that is exactly what we are doing as a congregation family, as God is calling us into this new season. But what I have been talking about, Pastor Stefan, Abby knows this because Abby was on last Friday with us talking about the Little World Shaker Challenge and the family challenge and stuff that was taking place, which we'll have her share a little bit more about tonight, is just because people right now that are part of the congregation family, Stefan, as they see the church shift, I think what's really been on my heart and Felicia's heart is that is just one aspect. I'm praying, I'm believing. I know Brandon and Abby are praying and believing. I know the congregation pastoral staff is praying and believing that this word shift is going to take place in marriages. It's going to take place in households. It's going to take place in children. It's going to take place in finances. It's going to take place in the workplace. It's going to take place with family. So when I think of shift, yes, the congregation family is going to shift in a mighty way, and God's favor is on the congregation family. But when you hear me talk about that specific aspect right there, Pastor Stefan, when I'm talking about finances shifting, marriage, relationships, families, kids, when you hear me talk about that, what comes to mind as we are entering this new shift season?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting just because I feel like the past few months, really, I think 6 months for everyone on the call, 9 months technically, we've all been going through COVID, right? In the way that COVID has changed all our lives. But I feel like, going into literally being September, going in October, COVID kind of passed the moment of like an initial shift into a state of like almost like a here to stay, right? We've all like rebuilt our lives around COVID. And so I think when there is ever a big shift, COVID being an example, and it's an example that we're all going through, but it's an example that everyone can relate to. I think you have an opportunity to really rethink parts of your life, really restructure parts of your life, and I think really rediscover maybe parts of your life that you've put on the back burner, right? And so, it's interesting. I was talking to a friend of mine just recently who is a nurse at a COVID wing at a top hospital, and so I talk to him like once a week. He's a part of our church. And so it was fascinating in our conversation. He talked about how much his faith has changed. And so just with the experiences he had, he felt like a lot of the things he was taught in the past or growing up just couldn't really sustain him, like in this new season, because he had dealt with some tough stuff. And so I encouraged him as a pastor, but also as a really good friend. And I said, sometimes you have to lose your faith in order to gain a better one.
Wow.
And so I think in shifts, a lot of time it's easy to focus on the negative sides of them. And some parts are negative. Some things are tough. You have to let go of them. You can be under more stress, right? I mean, I think taking on anything new by definition is stressful because it's unknown. You've never done it before. So even if it's something that you're excited about, like if you're starting a new business, odds are 6 months in, you're going to be miserable. Like I talk to any person who has started a business, talk to any person who's gone to graduate school, like talk to any person who's taken on a brand new position that they've never done before. Anytime you take on anything new, voluntarily or not, I think that it's tough because it's unknown. So you're building everything from scratch. But I think in those moments, you can often find something deeper. You can find something more meaningful. And in, I think, the realm of faith and spirituality, it's really a time, I think, to grow deeper in our relationship with God. So I think for the church, why we decided to do Shift, in September, and why we felt like God was leading the congregation family in this new season to talk about Shift as a family, but also creating a space for us to build this new studio and expand our online ministries. I think what it really comes down to is really saying, hey, we've all been stretched in this season. At the same time, in that stretching, what we have found is God's faithfulness. And what we've also found is that when we go through seasons like this, it matters when we serve. It matters when we step up. It matters when we say, you know what, like, I'm not going to go singular in this moment. I'm going to be committed to plural. But the reason why is because God is really alive. He's really in our lives. He really is renewing and restoring all of creation. So many people are growing in this season, and God is more present, I think, than ever. But I also think it's in moments of shift. It's in tougher times. It's in times of like unknown seasons that I think we really find God can find that faith that I think is much more meaningful and that also sustains us over the course of our lives.
Well, so well said. And Brandon, I feel like this is, with your background, Brandon, and knowing, a lot about you, the definition says a slight change. But anytime someone hears that word change, right, what's the first thing that comes to mind? There's a little bit of fear, panic that sets in. But I love what Pastor Stefan was talking about, in the stretching. And we've been talking about that stretching of faith, okay? And through that change and through that stretching of faith, a lot of times we see on the spiritual side is through that stretching, okay, through that change, on the other side ends up being a major breakthrough or a major blessing for us. But when that change initially starts, we don't see that breakthrough, Brandon. We don't see that blessing. We just see like, oh my goodness, something's going to change. I got to change. This is not normal for me. The new normal going back to school for my kids, it's not the same. I'm uptight about it. Brandon, when you think about what Pastor Stefan said, which was powerful, is you almost have to lose, correct me if I say this right, you almost have to lose your faith to gain a new one. Is that what you said?
Yeah, you have to shed some of the ideas that maybe you picked up that just aren't going to sustain you. But that's not necessarily bad, because what it does is it says, hey, God, are you there? Like, it allows you to create a space where you can, I think, know God in a more intimate way.
So Brandon, how has this played with you in terms of change and obviously shifting? Because sure, the Congregation Family has started a new campaign, but it's safe to say that you and Abby, right when COVID hit, you guys were already shifting, and you guys kind of have been ahead of the curve. We've been able to watch you guys and the things you're doing. Abby, the new dimension and realm you're taking the Little World Shakers in. I mean, that required a shift, you guys. That wasn't just something you said, oh, okay, tomorrow I feel like I'm going to do it, as Tim would say, different, better, more magical. No, that was actually a shift. You had to become creative. You two are creative genius when it comes to being creative. How did that kind of play out for you, Brandon, as things started to shift for you and Ab, obviously, within your marriage, but really within the ministry and really going to the level that you guys are at now?
Well, you get knocked down and you rely on your backstroke. When you shift, you gotta,
right?
You just gotta go. You'll never know until you go, and that's all I can say with that. I mean, you could stand from the sidelines, you can see, you can watch the water and the waves go, but you'll never know what it's like until you get in there and you really start to build in your stepping forward and stepping out, and then you create momentum, and then who knows? Man,
and Ab, I know, let's just use the Little World Shakers, because Pastor Stefan and we had a conversation today, and we're shifting as a church. We're shifting ministry by ministry. So Little World Shakers are shifting, Family Strong shifting, women's ministry shifting. We're shifting. It's a church, but we're also shifting in our respective ministries. Ab, you already shifted, and now you're just going to, as we would say, glory to glory, dimension to dimension. And I think shift is just really, I don't feel like it's stretching you with the Little World Shakers. Maybe on a technical aspect, things you're adapting to, things you're learning, because obviously we're not used to doing things out of our home. I stepped up late. I barely got a camera upgrade. I feel like you've had that for quite some time. You have this cool setup and thing going on. But when you hear shift and you think of Little World Shakers, and the reason why I want to put you on the spot is families in the Congregation Family have kids. We run a married couples group. All of our couples have kids. When you heard shift and you said, okay, we're going to shift Little World Shakers, what was the first thing that came to your mind? Share maybe some creative things. Share maybe, how God spoke to you. And then give us a little vision and taste of where we see, Little World Shakers go as we shift into this new season. And really, I'm going to say it, I'm going to speak it over everybody's life. 2020 can still be our best year yet, okay? It could still be our best year yet for your kids, for your finances, for your job, for your marriage, for your household. it could still be your best year yet. Felicia and I are speaking that over our kids every single day. Jude, I don't care if you're doing distance learning. Be the best version of you distance learning, okay? So we're constantly speaking that over our kids. So I said, what type of leader would I be in the Family Strong ministry if I wouldn't be believing and praying for that, for your marriage, for your kids, for your family, for your household? So back to my question, how do you see this all playing out with Little World Shakers, Ab?
So initially when we found out about the COVID and us not being able to meet, my first thought was we have to stay connected. And that was the first thing. And there was a lot of fear because I was like, I felt like I lost my bearings. Like we had some momentum. We just had created, like, felt like we got our feet on the ground and we were creating a lot of momentum. And one thing COVID has really taught me is to just never get comfortable in the moment, just always embrace change, because it's literally something can change every single day. And so if I keep trying to fight this idea that I just want everything to be stable and I just want everything to be in its perfect place, it's really hard for me to show up the way I need to show up for the little ones. So I just had to have a mindset shift and just say, you know what? I thought of that worship song, Spirit lead me where my trust is without borders, because if I can trust God without the normal borders, like Stefan said, just we have to shed some of our own old thinking. And if I could start to trust him in a bigger way and just trust that he has a plan, that's when I believe we were able to birth. Okay, let's go online. All right, let's use what we have. If we need to order something, let's order it. And that's how that kind of got birthed. And there was fear because it's like, man, I've never been on camera like this, but I just had to talk myself through it. Like, well, what am I afraid of? I'm in front of these kids every Sunday telling a story. Like, we're very candid in the classroom. So now there's just a camera. It is what it is. And so the way I see it going now is that finding new creative ways to just engage and keep the kids connected, because I can connect with them and they can see me on Sundays, but now it's a matter of them connecting one-on-one and finding new creative ways to do that. So I think COVID has been beautiful because it's challenged us creatively to use these platforms and to find ways to get deeper in our relationships with these kids and not being able to see them, but still find ways to do it because there are ways.
I love what you said, deeper, but I feel like with you, Abby, and I'm seeing it, with my wife now, I'm going to say one word to you, Abby, is intentional. I just see how intentional you are. You're so intentional with what you do, whether it's with the kids or what you're doing with the parents, because I've said it before. I think a lot of times people just say, oh, Little World Shakers director. There's a lot more that goes in behind that title. And trust me, I know, because Pastor Stefan, your husband, Brandon, me, Felicia, we see that back end work that goes on. It's just not being on camera at 1 p.m. Pacific time on Sunday. There's a lot of work that goes in all week long. What people see is a finished product. They don't see what goes on behind the scenes. And I want to commend you for that, because we as a staff get to see that. And as we shift, I'm going to put my wife on the spotlight, because as I'm saying, we're believing for these things as a family, right? So if we're believing for them as a family, why do you think, and she may correct me here, but why do you think there was a shift in Felicia that said, I need to get back in. I want to serve. I want to volunteer, especially during a time right now, Abby, where it would be easy to not volunteer. If you know anything about my wife, she doesn't like to be on camera. Okay. That is not her specialty. She would rather be behind the scenes, not in the forefront. And now she's over here saying, I want to help. I want to lead a Zoom after party. I want to be there for those toddlers. But it really starts because that's what she's believing in our household. Mm-hmm. And if she believes that in her household, she wants that to carry over into the congregation family and into the Little World Shakers and really the toddlers at this point in time. Mm-hmm. So as we talk about shift, babe, what took place in your heart, in your mind? Obviously, yes, I know it's easy to say because we have two little ones, but to shift with two little ones is different. To say I want to take on the responsibility to get on Zoom, which I know you really, let's be honest.
I'm figuring it out still.
So what really struck you in your heart besides having Jordan and Joelle, but saying, I really want to jump in there. I want to help other toddlers. I want to partner with Abby again, with the Congregation family, and really just help build these kids as we shift into this new season.
Well, I mean, if we go back to, these kids having their experience with, learning about Jesus and the stories in the Bible and, the things that they got to do creatively while we were in church every Sunday, it's like, just like every other kid, I would say more elementary age, where they feel, this is just completely taken. They're like, what's going on? Like, we're not going to church anymore. We're not seeing our church friends. So I know with, with Joelle, I'll say, because she's just turned 4, she's more engaged. Like, she'll ask me, weekly, like, I want to watch Miss Abby. And I'm like, she's not on. So I'll have to like put on a rerun just so she could see her face up there and like watch church. Cause she's used to still, even though we don't physically go to church every Sunday, she knows I put church on the TV. So even if she's watching Pastor Tim, like she'll sit there and, listen to worship music and watch. But I know she's not as engaged, right? So I did feel that I needed to step up because I can see the direct effect where, my 3-year-old's yearning for it. Jordan's going to follow right in her steps. So with families that have younger siblings, which I know is the case, they're little followers, which is a great thing. I want them to still experience worship maybe on their level, or a short Bible story that they can hear something. And I know when I said I wanted to do it, it didn't need to be long. I mean, their attention spans aren't very long. They don't know how to be on a computer like, the older elementary kids. So my goal was just for any kids from 2 to 5 max, probably mostly 2 to 4, that they can get on and we could just kind of be silly and learn about Jesus and do a craft and talk and engage, and they can actually see their friends on the computer and interact and, know that they're still there, even though they're not physically there, they still remember their faces and, be able to share that experience. And it made a huge difference because now Joelle's like, ready for class on Sundays, and whether one person shows up or, 5, it doesn't matter. She still is yearning for that. She still wants to hear about it. So I hope that we can continue to build on that with our little world shakers. Do something creative. I have a lot of ideas, but I think like you're saying, even though we started something, and even like you did with little world shakers, it's still, we have to shift it. Even though we're still in the season, we still got to shift it because we got to keep them engaged. Got to continue to feed to their little souls and, help them out. So I'm kind of in that, even though I'm still new at volunteering and I offered it and I'm excited about it because I love being a servant. I need to figure out what's working for their little minds to keep them engaged.
Man, and that's a powerful word, Stefan, when we talk about engage, because you can take engage from Little World Shakers, you can take engage to Family Strong, you can engage because I know you help oversee a lot of the creative stuff. And let me tell you, Pastor Stefan, what you have been able to do in overseeing Hannah and Anthony and the rest of that team, you talk about a shift in a major game-changing way. I mean, the leaps and bounds that we have made. Did I not tell you this morning, and I said in our staff meeting the other day, we come a long way from me sitting in the front row, filming service live like this, with my hands shaking, my elbows on my knees to try to stay as steady as I can, to here we are today talking about shift and God providing a way for us to get into our own studio to, at the end of the day, Pastor Stefan, we're doing this to what? Reach more people. We want the congregation family to be worldwide. We want to impact many people's lives for the kingdom. So when you use that word engage, what does that word mean to you? Because engage to you, Stefan, means something totally different than I know it would to Felicia or to an Abby or to myself. But when you hear engage right now, what comes to mind? What do you see as engagement goes on the congregation family side? Let's use the creative production side. Where do you see that going into this next season as we close out 2020?
Yeah, that's a great question. On a fundamental level, I think there's something really powerful about voluntarily taking on the shift and really leaning into it. And when you do that, I think that a lot of really great things can happen. And you can put yourself in a situation where you can see the opportunities that are now present that maybe weren't there, right? And so I think about just with the church, you know, when we made the transition to online, I mean, in the past 6 months, we've gotten more online prayer requests, more overall engagement, more views, a lot of emails. I mean, every week I talk to someone from a different country who's watching or who's engaging or who's signing up for online membership. I mean, just a couple weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, I talked to a lady who I was helping her set up her giving account. She was from South Africa.
Wow.
You know, and so like that stuff happened before, but not at the volume, right, of what it is now. And just seeing people step up. I mean, the fact that when we went to online, our team had to use brand new technology and come up with a new strategy and really think through all those pieces. But even in that, everybody stepped up. I mean, I can talk about it on the call, like Abby in her case. I mean, you went from, you know, being a kids ministry director to quite literally like running like a mini production and having to learn all the software and like how to use a green screen and how to edit and do like, and so you jumped into it like, you know, 2 feet. And so that stuff like matters. And I just feel like our entire staff took that step, and we took it, you know, not totally knowing how to work it all. There was a learning curve, but just 6 months in, I couldn't be prouder of us, but I also couldn't be more excited just about how many new people have come to the church and what that has meant. And so I just talked to someone this week. We're going to have our first watch party from where it's an at-home watch party from Sweden. And then the week before we had someone from Australia. So it's like, it's really wild. And so that stuff super excites me. And so when I think about engage, it has a lot to do with that, because I think that, again, shifts happen. They happen all the time. I mean, in life, you experience things that are up and down. You experience unknowns. I mean, you constantly, like if there's any guarantee in life, it's going to be that you're going to deal with something that you don't know, like, you know, that you weren't prepared for. That just comes with the territory. And I think in those moments, you have the choice to voluntarily take it on, engage with it, and say, you know what, I'm going to contend with this, and I'm going to do it voluntarily, and I'm going to do it with a smile on my face, believing that good things can happen. And even if I can't always see it, I'm going to have faith, right? And believe that God is not only going to see me through, but that God is going to create opportunities that are going to bless people. And I think having that sense of optimism is super important, because I think it's easy with shifts. You're looking for things to maybe go back to the way they were. And I think that that's the wrong way to look at it. I mean, see it as like, this is something that's new and there's a ton of new possibilities. And sure, there's a learning curve. Like, sure, it's going to be different, you know, but that creates opportunities. And if you can lean into it, engage with it, be optimistic, but voluntarily say, I'm going to do this, and just see where it takes me. I think that it means a lot.
So good. And I was sitting here thinking, you know, because that word engagement is one of my favorite words. I think you all know that I love to engage, whether it's on a live, you know, whether it's, you know, on a staff meeting. But let's take it a step further, Pastor Stefan. You know, Sunday service is one aspect. There's a lot of engagement that goes on behind a Sunday service. And I know Pastor Steve does a phenomenal job engaging. And a lot of times people don't see that. Why? Because we stream the service on multiple platforms, right? So we try to get people to watch it on live.congregationchurch.com, which is where we stream the service live from our website. But we also do have the service on YouTube. We know a lot of you watch it live on YouTube. We do stream it live on Facebook, on Tim's Facebook at Tim Story Official, and then we stream it on the Congregation Church, which is, you know, at Congregation Church on Facebook. So when people think about it, there's multiple ways that we got to engage on a Sunday. You know, we got to engage on YouTube. We got to engage on the website. We got to engage on Tim's Facebook. That's what I'm doing. We got to engage on the church's Facebook. So we're constantly engaging. And for me, the engaging really never stops. You know, people think I'm crazy because I'll give my church email address out, but it's like at the end of the day, you know, if we're calling ourselves servants, which we are, you know, that is my job and what God's calling me to do. Obviously, I'll use wisdom and discernment on what type of emails I get, right? I'm obviously not going to engage or respond to silly things, but if there's prayer requests or things like that, like I'm looking at, you know, people who are online, and I'm looking at, you know, Eric Swafford, who's online. We actually had Eric and Jolynn as a guest on the Family Strong Ministry. Talk about an amazing married couple with an amazing testimony, you know, and they blessed so many people. And I don't know if you know this, Ab, but I saw that Jolynn's mom is now in the hospital right now. And I literally say all that to say, Eric, this is part of engaging. I see you on right now. We're standing, you know, with you guys in prayer and agreement, not only for Jolynn's mom, but for Jolynn. I know she's in the hospital. She just lost her father not that long ago, but this is what we do as a congregation family. And when we think of engagement, the word engagement doesn't say that you have to engage or interact with somebody or reach out to somebody, whether it's good, bad, or the other. You know, we're going to stand with you no matter what, whether it's a praise report, a prayer request, or in this case, Eric, you know, we're praying for, you know, healing. We're praying for a miracle. You know, we know what you guys have went through as a family, losing, you know, your father-in-law and Jolynn's, you know, dad, and we are very sensitive to those things. I just wanted to acknowledge that. I know I steered off track a bit, but I saw Eric on live, and those are the things that I look for when it comes to engaging you guys, is how intentional are we? You know, I don't sit on social media all day long. I quite honestly don't like it. But if it's something like this and I see somebody on, as Abby would do, Brandon would do, you know, you would do, Stefan, is we would acknowledge those things because we want people to know we care. You know, we're here because we love people. We're servants. And, you know, it's something for me that has been on my heart more so during this COVID season than before. Yeah. I think when you see people in person, Abby, Brandon, Pastor Stefan, you see people every weekend, right? And it almost comes like, oh, okay, I'm going to see, you know, Herb next week, or I'm going to see, you know, Joelle and Jude next week. It almost just becomes redundant. And now when those things are taken away, any moment you can get to connect with somebody and just say, you know, if I tell like a Randy Morgan and his wife, you know, Gail, we miss you guys. Like, I seriously do miss them. When I see Kenny or talk to Kenny on a group text and I'm like, bro, I miss you. It's like, man, I miss seeing Kenny. That truck in the morning unloading used to be a tedious thing at time, but now, you know, you would die to have that truck and be able to unload it on Sunday, because that means Abby and Brandon would get to see all the kids. That means we would get to take our kids to service, and, you know, things would be back to the way they were before. But with the shift, you know, God has bigger and better things in plan and in store for us. So, you know, I'm excited. Abby and Brandon, you know, I'm excited for everything you guys are doing. I mean, I'm far behind what you guys have put together from a production standpoint, and I am amazed at the things that you guys do. And when I see the stuff you guys do, I always tell Stefan, what are they doing? What is she using? How are they dressing up? What apps are they using? Because, like, I thought I was kind of cool with some apps and things here, but I'm like, man, you guys are next level for me. I need to step my game up. But Pastor Stefan and Ab and Brandon, let's talk about something exciting. Okay, so we're talking about engagement.
Yeah.
How can we get people involved, right? I said it this morning. For all of you watching live right now, let's see who the first one to respond is. The Congregation Church is celebrating what this coming weekend? There's a big milestone. Let's see if somebody can guess it right. I'm going to wait a minute or two and someone will tell me. And if Pastor Paige says it, that's cheating because she already knows. So she can't say what the Congregation family is turning this weekend and what we are celebrating. But, you know, every year is a milestone at the Congregation Church. Now it's the Congregation family. And someone just said it. Michelle Yanez just said 5 years. That's right. We are celebrating 5 years. And that is a milestone. And let me tell you, Pastor Stefan, if a church can make it 5 years, is that not pretty dang good?
Yeah, I mean, it's really wild to think how far we've come.
Like, dude, I feel like yesterday
it's almost weird.
Do you remember sitting in Tim's dining room?
Yeah, remember the Christmas lights we had were on Sundays? I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or when I remember sometimes people wouldn't show up and Joseph, it was just you and me, like
Right.
unloading stuff and coming.
Load stuff. But hey, 5-year anniversary. This is huge for the congregation family in many different ways. You parlay this. Brandon, let's use a sports term. You're going to parlay a 5-year anniversary with shift, and I think what we're going to see come from that is God just going to move in a mighty way. And this is just the beginning for the congregation family. And we're going to do something special this Sunday, you guys. We're going to do this may not be new to Miss Abby or new to Felicia, but we are going to have a congregation family Zoom party. I have heard the word Zoom after party, I feel like since April. With
you guys are like pros at this point.
Right? So it's like little world shakers are like, well, we've been throwing parties for like months. So, we're going to do a Zoom party. So for all you watching who have not heard about this yet, or have not seen the post on social media or the emails that have come across, we're going to do a Zoom party Sunday night. And I'm going to have Pastor Stefan explain a little bit about how the night is going to go. But really, we want to come to you guys live. It's going to be live 6:45 p.m. this Sunday. That should be the 20th of September. And we're going to go from 6:45 to 7. We're going to do a little engaging. We're going to start promptly at 7. We're going to go 7 to 8 p.m.-ish. If you have not registered yet, okay, you need to register. If you need to register, can they register on the website? And if they cannot, Pastor Stefan, they can just email me directly and I'll make sure they get access to the party. We'll grant
them. So there's 2 ways they can register. First way is obviously they can, of course, slide into your DM, or they can they could email you. But no. So what you want to do is you want to text 5 years, literally the number 5, and then YEARS, don't forget the S, to 94090. That's 94090. This reminds me about when I used to do all the announcements. And so we can probably put it in the show notes, but do it. It's just you can text RSVP. We'll send you a registration bounce back. You just register. So it's 6:45 to 8. So from 6:45 to 7, we're doing like a little pre-party to give people some time to log on. Some people have not used Zoom, and if you know anything about not using Zoom before, it can take you a minute, especially if you are not familiar with the technology. But yeah, so try to log on 6:45 to 7. We're all going to hang out, and then from 7 to 8, it's going to be a super fun Zoom party. All the staff will be there. Pastor Tim has a special message. We're going to do a cool slideshow, show some pictures. We're going to have games, which are really going to be fun. And then we're going to do some giveaways as well. So you could walk away.
Make sure you guys hear that. Giveaways. Okay. Hey, Brandon, what type of pre-party is this?
A big party.
Right.
You want to get your VIP ticket. For sure. You want the invite, you want to show up, you might walk away with something
exactly
pretty nice. Yeah.
So I just wanted to remind everybody about that. That is this Sunday, you guys. So be sure to register. We want to see all you on there for our 5-year, our 5-year, Zoom party. And as we wrap up tonight, we want to be respectful of time and you, Pastor Stefan, for hopping on tonight with us. I always like to kind of go around and do any closing thoughts, starting with Brandon and Abby. Anything pressing, anything you want to share, anything that's happening, maybe something behind the scenes in your marriage, anything you guys want to close with tonight, bless us with. Brandon and Abby, I'm going to let you guys go first.
I want to first big up my wife, because I've noticed something about her as we talked about shifting. Just in the shift, I've noticed just something ignite in you to just learn whatever you need to learn, take on whatever adjustments that need to take on, and to just kind of get everybody together and to go in the direction of shift. And I want to tell everybody watching that it starts with you. I spoke about this message today on the 3-Minute Club in Acts chapter 16, But it starts with you. As far as the full entire trust in Jesus starts with you, the full entire trust that God has you planted in Congregation.Family, and what we are doing in this shift, you guys are a huge part of. And showing up is not just Sunday. There's so many ways to show up, and this shift is really just guiding and leading the way. I'm excited to be a part of it. I watched what it did in you firsthand. I watched what it's done in our staff and with the volunteers. And so I can't say it enough how extremely excited I am about Shift and where the Congregation.Family is going. But we're celebrating 5 years on Sunday, so it's time to party.
Yeah. Hey, Abby, didn't I say this yesterday, you guys? And Pastor Paige will laugh about this because I think she's the one who ordered them. Didn't it feel like yesterday we were all standing in the courtyard holding the white balloons?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man.
Let them go 4 years ago. And so
that was a minute ago.
Hey, are we going to get in trouble for this? Is someone going to find out that we're letting like
Dude, we didn't know
go?
anything about anything
Right?
when we first started.
Here we let 200 balloons go in the air, you know, getting tangled in power lines.
Oh my gosh. That was the most asked question in the staff. Are we going to get in trouble for this? Like, are we allowed to do this? That's really funny.
Brandon, that's amazing what you said though, Brandon. I think it's, you know, as a married couple here and you and Abby, you know, when we compliment our spouse and we see things in them that sometimes they may not see in themselves, or maybe sometimes they're wondering, you know, if they're doing an adequate enough job. And you just to say that right now, I mean, that speaks volumes, because it's easy for me to say and easy for Felicia to say what an amazing job Abby has done in with the Little World Shakers. I mean, I was on the other day, Friday, and I'm like, why is Fredolin live on Little World Shakers Friday? And then I'm seeing some money, something, and I'm like, man, Little World Shakers are teaching the kids about money now. I'm like, we've really stepped our game. What's it called?
Money Mindfulness, Freedom Fridays.
Pastor Stefan, doing money mindfulness for adults.
I know, for real, right? All the parents are taking notes. They're like, what did Abby say?
But that's, Abby, that is the dedication, you know, and stepping up and stepping out, and more importantly, answering the call, you know. And when I saw that on Friday, and I was like, what? I was kind of puzzled at first, because I didn't know, you know, about it. And then I was just like, wow. I'm like, it's those things right there that are going to make an impact in the next generation, you know. And it's easy for Felicia and I to say what an amazing job that you have done. It's a pleasure and a joy to sit back and watch. I partake as much as I can, but man, it's like you don't jump in and try to fix something that's not broke. And Little World Shakers is not even close to being broke. And you just sit back and enjoy the ride, kind of like I'm doing with the Lakers right now. So, hey, had to throw that one in there.
Shameless plug.
Ab, closing words, closing thoughts. How about maybe a response to what Brandon said? I would love to hear what you say.
I definitely have to say that it wouldn't be possible if I didn't have his support, because he's heard my many rants of frustration, like, I can't figure it out, the computer froze, what is going on? And he'll be like, go take a walk. And I come back to it.
Walk it off.
You didn't play professional sports at all. Take a lap.
But he's like, he truly is like my balance. Like, I am like a fireball, and he is like, all right, it'll be okay. Let's take a break, come back. And so I would honestly say, I think within our marriage, it's really grew our marriage, just the responsibilities we've taken on through COVID and through shifting online. And so I believe, just listening to the conversation tonight, that it's really the culture of Congregation Family. It's the culture that we've created to try things, to support each other in trying things. And like, even what you saw on Friday with Fredolin, that came from an idea Fredolin had, because it's truly her passion to educate people on money. And so it's stuff like that. You sharing your heart about wanting to do Family Strong, and us being a part of a staff and a culture and leadership that embraces ideas and really empowers us when we come to the table with an idea. And I thank you, Pastor Stefan, because I think you guys as leadership have really seen stuff in us that I know we haven't been able to see, and you guys call us to stuff and we're like, wait, what? And just, I think trusting your guys' leadership has really elevated us and challenged us to step up. And so for everyone watching, I would agree and extend that invitation to really plug in and see what ways you can be a part of the shift, because it's coming into 5 years. We've been here almost since the beginning, not the exact beginning, but just the transformation in our marriage and our individual growth, and just finding our gifts and growing in our gifts has been transformational all around through Congregation. So thank you for being my support system. Thank all of you for giving me the chance to even try to use what gifts I've been given and grow those gifts. I'm truly blessed by all of you. So thank you.
Ab, that's a mic drop moment. That's like a Mamba out. Like, you know, what can we say? Any closing words, anything you want to share as we shift, anything you want to share, not about me, maybe about you, anything on your heart?
Well, just hearing the word shift over and over tonight and how we're describing it in different areas, whether it is directly with ministry or just in our personal lives. You know, as me being a stay-home mom in this season, actually in the middle of COVID, because I was working at the beginning, but that shifted. And I had to now become intentional because I really wanted my kids to thrive in this season. So it's funny, if you look around my house, it looks like a preschool. Like you're walking into a preschool classroom, but it's just my living room and then my TV room and then my kitchen. But, you know, but being intentional, like you said, Abby, and making sure, you know, not just for my own kids, but, you know, when it comes to little world shakers and making sure that their faith life at their age is still very much a part of their life, even though we can't physically be in church. So I want to make sure that even in my role that I'm playing to volunteer for our toddlers, that I'm being intentional and that I can continue to shift in that area so that they can grow and they can gain and experience something. So
Very well said. And I can tell you that our living room looks like we have numbers all over the wall, but they're nice.
Letters.
We have letters all over the wall. We have stations for them that we have set up. Their tent has become their reading area. So they have stations, so they move around, the little ones, during the day. Abby, it's quite cool if you saw what Felicia has done, but literally it's just intentional, you know? So the same intention you see with her and our kids is the same intention you're going to see with her and your kids, anyone watching live. And I'm going to say two things before I let Pastor Stefan share some closing thoughts. Two things. You know, behind every good man, there's a better woman. And for me, that has definitely been the case, especially with Shift. Shift has brought on more responsibility. It has brought more to my plate, but I have not had this much peace and joy in actually stepping out and doing, you know, what God's called me to do. And, you know, Felicia gives me that space and that place to really focus on those things and to be intentional, because we are in some serious times and people are looking to an Abby, a Brandon, to a Pastor Stefan, myself, Felicia, Pastor Paige, Pastor Tim. They're looking for us right now, and we see it daily, you guys. And to be able to be there and readily available speaks volumes in the times that we're living in. And the second thing, so thank you, babe, I appreciate you and love you. And the second thing is, here's what I'll say to Pastor Stefan. You know, Tim is like the master chameleon. You can put him anywhere, any place, in any state, in any country, and he will blend in and work magic. I mean, that is Tim's story. Yeah. And Stefan has grown up with him as his uncle. He's seen it overseas. I've been blessed the past 8 years to witness it firsthand. So for him, I feel like he has not skipped a beat. You know, Shift, COVID, like these things have not hindered him one bit. He's always positive. He's always upbeat. He's always praying over us, speaking life into us. And your mom's right there. But here's what I will say to you, Stefan, is I think when we look at the staff as a whole and we look at ministry, we look at, Pastor Tim, your mom, you. I think the biggest shift in responsibility and shift in the church has taken place in you, because you have assumed a lot of the responsibility, okay?
Yeah.
But here's what you become a master at. You become a master at delegating things now. Where before, you just used to take them on. You would take them on, you would work 18 hours a day, you would be tired, but you would do. And now I'm seeing like a Stefan 5.0 version where it's like, now you put a Hannah in place. Now you put a Mark in place. Now we got Abby doing this, Joseph doing, your mom's doing this. And now it's more of a conductor role.
Yeah.
Obviously a conductor in a symphony, as you guys know, plays the most important role. And that is really what we're seeing in you right now, is we're seeing you really pulling back, but you're delegating, and you're really putting the right people in the right places that are going to help take the congregation family to the next level. And for me, that's been a joy to see, because we went from being so hands-on every Sunday to now it's like, wait a minute, we got to reel this back. Okay. We got to get to the drawing board. We got to regroup. Okay. At that same time, you can't lose skip a beat, but I really want to give you, that honor, because you deserve it, Pastor Stefan. There's been a major shift. And I think the biggest shift has taken place in you. And just look at all the things that are happening and where the church is going. A lot of it is because of decisions you have made, things you brought to the forefront. And like Abby said, you believe in me, believe in Abby, believe in Brandon, believe in Felicia, believe in Hannah, where you now have that comfortability knowing that God has put the right people on our team. And guess what we're going to do? We're going to shift and we're going to win. And 2020 is going to be our best year yet. So any closing thoughts for you, Pastor Stefan?
Yeah. One, thank you for that. I really appreciate it. And I feel literally the exact same way about our team. One of the greatest privileges, I think, in the last 6 months has just been able to see how everyone has really stepped up, but not just in responsibility. It's almost like I feel like there's been a divine grace on all of us, where there's been so many times I've been on the phone with Abby or Brandon or Joseph or Paige, and I'll say, "Can we do this?" And then I'll get this look of like, "Yeah." Like, okay. And then a week later, like, it's somehow built and like doing very, very well. And so I think that that's been something that I've been personally just super proud of us as a team, because I just feel like there's been a divine grace on us that's allowed us to, one, is grow the congregation family, but also I think meet the ministry need. And that's something I've been thinking about a lot. And this, I guess, would be my closing thought. And I talked about it a little bit this last Wednesday. I feel like September, everyone's talking about the elections, right? We went from like COVID to the elections to like, it's been like this 9-month process of like, what is the future going to be? And that's like on everyone's mind. And it's just like changed categorically of the way, like what's going to affect it. First, it was like, when is COVID going to end? And now it's like, who's going to win the election? And that'll, I'm sure that will continue on right into next year. And I think that it's just important for us to always remember that, things like opening up are important, right? Things like policy are important, right? It's meaningful to vote. It's meaningful for people to think about that. At the same time, it's always equally as important to keep in mind that God is the ultimate person that's going to have the say over our lives. Mm-hmm. And so as we go through things or as we take on new challenges, I think that's what the divine grace is. It's saying, you know what, I don't feel like I completely get this. Like, I don't know how this is going to work, or I don't know if I have all my skills here, or this is new for me or new for my family. But I would just say, rest in that divine grace. And that's what it means to shift. It means that when shifts happen, lean into God and know that God is not only with you, but he's partnered with you. He's in you. He's just not with you through the good times and the bad. He is animating your life. Mm-hmm. And so as you kind of move, be optimistic, look for the opportunities, right? Practice your faith. serve, extend yourself, right? Say, okay, this might be crazy, but like, how can I serve just in some small way? There's something about leaning into it that I think matters so much. And that's probably the biggest lesson I've learned over the 9 months is how much divine grace there actually is. And what stopped, I think, a lot of that grace in my life was just, I didn't know how to lean into it. I didn't know how to just say, okay, I don't know what I'm doing here. This is all new, and but I'm going to take it a step at a time, and I'm going to know that God is going to give me the thoughts. He's going to give me everything I need in order to kind of meet the need. And I can, even though I'm tired, I'm going to rest in Him. And that even though I don't know how it all is going to look quite yet, I know that He is the architect, the author, and finisher of my life. And ultimately, it's Him that is going to have the final say.
So good.
Beautifully said. What a great way to end tonight. And I always like closing, obviously, with prayer, but just to let people know what we have coming up as we end our week at the Congregation Family, especially with what we do on a day-to-day basis. But I think Brandon said this earlier. I could be wrong. It's just not Sunday service, okay? We still have Friday. I will be live tomorrow, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on Instagram for our Family Strong Morning Devotion. Brandon will be live at 12:30. That is in the afternoon, Pacific Standard Time with the 3-Minute Club. And Abby, will we have Little World Shakers tomorrow? Or is it the Money Mindfulness tomorrow?
Money Mindfulness at 5 o'clock. Yeah.
So 5 p.m. Little World Shakers is at Little World Shakers on Instagram. Okay. Brandon and I will be live at Congregation.Family on Instagram. We will have our Sunday service live at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can watch at live.congregationchurch.com, or you can watch on our Facebook page, which is at Congregation Church. And then let's not forget, be sure to register. Like Brandon said, get that VIP front row ticket for a chance to win a special prize or gift Sunday night. It'll start at 6:45 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and we hope to see you all there. The big takeaway, you guys, tonight, I'm going to say it again. The Congregation Family is, praying, believing, and standing in the trenches with you guys. That shift is going to take place in your marriage, in your family, in your household, in your finances, and with your kids, and that we are going to finish 2020 off in a mighty way, and this can still be your best year yet. In a sports term, Brandon, this is a second half. Brandon, in a second half of basketball, a lot could happen. Look what happened to the Clippers. That was a prime example of what happened in the second half of a game. So we still have a lot of time here left in 2020 to make a huge impact and a huge difference. Let's continue to be God's hands extended. Let's continue to step up, step out, and answer the call. And Pastor Stefan, since we have you on tonight, would you be so kind and generous to pray us out?
Yeah, totally. I'd love to. Father, thank you so much for our lives. Thank you for our gifts and our talents that you've given us. And thank you for the gifts and talents of every person who is joining us right now. Father, we pray that as you shift our lives, teach us how to lean in, teach us how to hear your voice better, and open our hearts so that we might be people of empathy. We might be people of compassion. We might be people who are inspired to serve and give back. And Father, give us perspective. As Christians, we are people of hope, and we live in your hope in all things. And so, Father, during this season or any season in the future of our lives where we have to tackle and encounter big shifts, let us always remember that you are the author and the finisher of our faith, and that you have a role for us to play in your story. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Appreciate you guys. Brandon, Abby, we love you guys. Pastor Stefan, thank you for taking time out tonight.
Of course.
To, hop on with us. And
I think
exactly what the Congregation Family and the Family Strong Ministry needed tonight as we're, embarking on shift. So we will see you live. Brandon and I will see you guys live tomorrow. And then we will see you live on Sunday. And then we cannot wait for that special Zoom party Sunday night. Until then, you guys all have a blessed Thursday night, and I'll see you live tomorrow morning, 9 a.m.